What's up, everybody? I'm JC.
I'm Brittany.
And you're listening to
Just Breathing Home Edition.
Yeah! Got it. So it's been a long week. I feel like we start a lot of podcasts like that.
Yeah.
I think we start a lot of podcasts like that. But you know what? Maybe we're relatable. Anybody that's listening to this and they're like, let's listen to a podcast about family and home life and parenting and all of this. And this is what the people that listen to our podcast sound like.
I hope we're encouraging.
Yeah. This is what they sound like, though. They're always having a long week, you know. And that's fine. We're glad you're here at Just Breathing Home Edition. Welcome to our this is our dining room. What is this place?
We live in this place, dude.
Yeah. It's cool. But it's been a long week. It's been a long, short week. It's been a weird week.
Yes.
It's been a week where I can't believe it's where we are in the week, but then I feel like we haven't accomplished like all that we need to accomplish in that amount of time. Like, I only got this much done this week.
Yeah.
You know,
that's how I feel.
It's one of those weeks where it's like it feels like, oh my gosh, it's already this day. Like it went so fast, and then it's just like, oh my gosh. It went this fast. You know, it's strange. But man, one of the things that just blows my mind is the way in which, so our kids at the beginning of the week, kind of Monday and Tuesday, had like one of the most epic 2 days of their lives, of their young lives.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll have greater ones, marriage or something like that. But like, this was their best 2 days ever.
Yeah.
You know, they got to go camping. They got to go on a boat. They got to go on an island. They got to be with grandparents that spoil them. I mean, it was like highest of highs. And what I realized after they got back is that they need like literally a day or more to like detox.
Yeah.
Like drug addicts. Like it's crazy how they're able to be at this super high point and like so much joy and happiness and just bliss. And then they come back, and the next day they literally, first thing in the morning when they wake up, they're like, what are we doing today?
Yeah.
What are we doing today?
Or where are we going today?
Yeah, where are we going?
I love it when they give like like their hypothesis and they're like, we're going on a day trip to the beach. Like they just look at me and they like give me these answers like that. I bet that's where we're going.
And you're just like, no, we're going to go like out onto our deck because it's a nice day and we want you out of my house.
Yeah.
You know, but it's so funny to me because like they could have the best 2 days ever. And like, it's not enough. Or at least it seems like that.
I think it's because they're so innocent.
Right.
They don't understand like why can't we just do that every day?
Yeah.
Like I really do think that they don't understand like why aren't we doing that every day?
Yeah.
You know, like especially like to the beach when we go to the beach, you know, they love the beach. Like, I think all these fun things, they're just like, why don't we just continue to do this forever?
Yeah, what is going on?
Like, why would you go back home?
If we love this so much, like, why are we not here?
There's like
all the time?
There's no limits for them. They're just like, I don't understand. This is so fun. You're having fun. We're having fun. Like, let's just do it forever.
It's just,
it's hard to explain to them.
It is. It's so hard to explain to them that there's like real world and then there's like these exciting moments within it that we hold on to and cherish to get us through some of the real world.
Right.
And when I say real world, they're having fun every day.
Right. Their life is pretty amazing in itself.
You want us to play? At home?
With all these toys?
You want us to go outside and play in our yard? And I'm like, I literally have explained this to him so many times. I'm like, some people don't have yards.
Yeah.
Some people have sidewalks, and that's their yard. Like, it's so nice that we have a house kind of in a rural area that they can go run.
Right.
They could just run.
They're like pretty much free here. Like, if we were in the city, like, I wouldn't actually let them outside as much. I'd be like, I need my eye on you. Like, I need to see exactly where you are.
It's crazy. And that makes the week feel long. That's why it's a long week, because you're just like, you're not getting a lot done personally. And then you have your kids like, what are we doing today? You know, and it just makes it long.
Yes.
But in spite of that, we have made changes. We have been able to implement a new system of in our parenting that I have no idea if it's effective yet.
Think it will be.
That is a podcast for a few months from now. But we wanted to talk about what we're doing right now, why we're doing it, what were the kind of reasons leading up to why we made this change. So yeah, this is going to be a parenting heavy podcast.
Yes.
So if that's not your thing, you don't have kids, or you don't want kids, or whatever. Kids are already moved out of your house. Probably don't need to listen to this podcast. But so one of the things that we really saw in our parenting, and that's really where everything comes from. You see things in your kids, and then it just basically is a reflection of what you're doing wrong in your parenting. Like, sure, your kids can do things wrong.
Right.
But they're kids.
Yeah.
And you're the parent. I know in this world we get confused sometimes on like who's the leader in the household, but it's parents because kids are stupid. And
well, you're their parent to teach them.
I know we're not allowed to say that about kids, but they are dumb. And scientifically, their brains aren't developed until they're like 25.
Yeah.
Maybe 20 for like girls. But like,
I think it is 25.
Is it still 25 for girls too?
I think so, yeah.
I thought they were a little younger. But regardless,
they're just more mature now.
They're dumb.
I think so.
They're dumb. And they need us. And when we see something going wrong, we're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
That's on us. And one of the things that we've been seeing is that there wasn't a lot of sort of personal responsibility, ownership, and just kind of a heart for being helpful in our kids. And that kind of sparked us to look at what we were doing that maybe wasn't fostering these things in our kids, in their personalities. And one of the things that we looked at was the fact that we were using, and we're just using this term because it's the only thing I can think of to describe this, but we were using bribes.
Yeah.
And we're not the first parents to bribe.
No.
I'm not going to get down on myself for doing this, but I'm admitting that we were using bribe tactics to get them to clean their room, to get them to help in some capacity, within the household. And they did. They were excited to help when they knew that there was something special on the other end.
Yes.
The problem with that is it didn't instill in them any ownership or any personal responsibility over what they were doing or why they were doing it. It was just a means to an end, essentially.
Let's just get through this
Let's just get through it. Let's just get through it. And a lot of people, I feel like, a lot of adults are in that state in their lives where they're just like, I work to get a paycheck.
Yeah, yeah.
And I do the least I possibly have to do to get that paycheck. Because I'm going to get that paycheck.
Yeah.
Especially, if I'm salary or if this is like what I get. It's not, hourly or whatever. If I'm here for those hours, I get that paycheck.
Yeah.
And we want our kids to have a good work ethic where they're not looking to do the least they possibly can. They're looking to do the most because that's where reward comes into play.
Right.
You can always get the paycheck, but you can't always get the bonus.
Right.
You can't always get the promotion. You can't always get opportunities.
Or even just feel good about.
Or feel good.
Like feel good about yourself and the work that you're doing and take pride in it. Like there's so much value in that. Like no one wants to just, I mean, sometimes you do have to, but no one wants to just work a job that they hate and just hate themselves in it. You know, like even if you don't like your job, you can at least take pride in that you did a good job in the job you don't like, you know, and be like proud of yourself in that at least. And so, yeah, we don't want them to be entitled to be like, well, whatever. Like I did it enough. Yeah. Now give me my paycheck, you know, like you want them to be grateful and hard workers.
And it's a different dynamic too. Like I want them to have a sense of pride in their family. You know, we've kind of lost that too. And a lot of our families is like, no, this is your family. Like that used to be a thing. Like there was pride. I mean, they used to have like family crests.
Yeah, that's
you know, like they had their own shields or you know, that whole thing where like this symbolizes the Letterman family.
Right.
You know, this symbolizes the Shreves. This symbolizes, you know, my family, and I take pride in who we are.
Right.
Like I don't want to shame the family name.
Right.
You know,
wouldn't that be cool if that was a thing again? I feel like I didn't even grow up in that. Like
I don't think any of us really grew up in that.
Yeah, like I mean, there was like a value in family, but yeah, I feel like maybe that I don't know. I don't know like how helpful that would be, but probably helpful. I would think.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, like there was as a kid, like I don't want to embarrass my parents.
Right.
Right.
Right. You don't want to give your parents a bad name.
There wasn't like this kind of overarching like. And you do see this, I think it still exists in some Asian cultures where there is like still pride in like the family and the lineage and the name. You know, you are this.
Right.
And that means that you are a hard worker, or that means that you are successful, or that means whatever. It still does exist, but it's more cultural, and like our culture is really done away with that.
Yeah.
And like I'm not saying I want to bring back a family crest. I don't know where I'm from. I'm a mutt. But I want to bring that pride that like in my family, I care for my brother and sister.
Yeah.
I care for my parents. And because my brother and sister and my parents care for me.
Yeah.
And like I want that really tight-knit kind of camaraderie in our family.
Right.
And the bribing system that we had in place just wasn't lending itself to developing that in their minds. They were like, yeah, this is great for me.
Right. And then the whole time it's like a whining thing too. It's just like, oh, like you said in the beginning, like how little can I get by until I get that thing? Like, and so it's always like a whining game.
Is it clean enough? You know, is it, but no one's helping me.
Right.
But, you know, what can you help me?
Yeah.
Can you do it for me?
How little can I do here?
And sadly, that does exist in the workplaces now. Sadly, that's a real thing. And that's something that sparked us to be like, oh, we need to make a change.
Right. Because you never do that on purpose. Right? Like we didn't start doing that because we were like, oh, this is a good. No, it just happens. You're like, you're like, oh, well, this might work. Oh, this did work.
Right.
And then you continue in that until you start to see like,
we had the best intentions. We're like, hey, we want to do a fun family thing. Because the things that we would reward them with was not like candy. Sometimes it was candy, but it was still like, everybody got candy.
Right.
So it was still something that like we all sat at the table and ate our candy.
Right.
You know, as a reward.
Or we all did something together.
Or we all watched a movie, or we all read a book together, or it was a still well-intentioned in bringing us together afterwards for something fun.
Yeah.
We'll do something fun if we work hard and get this done. So it was still well-intentioned, but the system was wrong.
Right.
Because it was a bribe.
Right.
To get them to where we wanted them to be, to get the prize.
Right.
To get the special, to get the thing, at the end.
So now we're doing.
Yeah.
So it is. Interrupt me if I don't explain it right, because it almost sounds similar to what we were doing before, but it's not. So and we're gonna call it the reward system.
Yeah.
Just because
instead of bribe, reward.
Because it's just that's the name that we thought made sense.
The psychologists that we are, the child psychologists.
But we were like, okay, so let's just start focusing on asking them to do something and just encouraging them to do it and teaching them why. Like, because we take care of each other, or because we take care of the things that we have. That's why we clean our room. We want to be thankful for these things. So
emphasizing the why.
Right. Letting them understand, like, this is why we do these things, and we will always have to do them, and they're good. Like, they're good things. Like, we should take pride in them. So teaching that, and then leaving it there.
Right.
And then hoping that they will do it joyfully and quickly. And then if we see that, then we can reward them.
Right.
And be like, that was really great.
With the explanation there that if you listen, if we, mom and dad, see you being helpful, being diligent and like taking ownership of your stuff, taking care of it, making sure that it's put away. Even, especially if you can see it and do something about it without us telling you.
Yeah.
There are rewards available to you.
Yeah.
So it's different than like the rewards here and we dangle it. We dangle it before you. So get your act together.
Right. Right.
It's, hey,
it's more like an opportunity.
We love you.
Right.
You know that we want to do good things. We want to give good gifts to our children. Just like, God wants to give good gifts to his children.
Right.
Like, we want to give good gifts to you.
Right.
We want to reward you. But we want to see in you the things worthy of a reward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just a different approach. There's still a do this, get rewarded. But it's been difficult. Like, even tonight, we wanted to clean up before we read a couple chapters in the book. And it was difficult because the entire time there was complaining while people were cleaning. There were some people not cleaning because they wanted help with cleaning. And if they didn't have help, well, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And, even explaining to them like, hey, I'm cleaning too.
Right. We were all cleaning.
And I want to help you, but you're laying on your bed.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to help you until I see you taking responsibility for your rooms.
Right.
And trying.
Yeah.
Putting out some effort. I would love to reward you with my help.
Yeah.
Even in stuff like that. Like, I want to see this and reward you with myself.
Right.
So it was hard too, because the entire time it was, are we going to watch TV afterwards?
Right.
Is that what, when we clean our room, are we going to get TV afterwards?
Yeah.
Are we going to watch Star Wars? Are we going to watch Bad Batch?
That literally did happen the whole time.
The entire time. And like, it was difficult as a parent to not say yes or not, because you want to just be like, yes, okay, if you get it done, you'll get this.
Yeah. And that's actually what we wanted to do too. We never told them that, but
that was another thing.
That was on my heart. I wanted to gift them with that, but
if they got it done quickly, but they were complaining for so long that we only had time to read.
And one of them never even did anything.
Right. There's that too.
But I think I think that this will work because for a couple reasons. First of all, like we said before, we're teaching them to kind of take pride in what they do and to take responsibility and to feel proud about it once they do it. And also the responsibility is then on them. So we're no longer trying to enforce them and motivate them towards this bribe. We're just kind of like, it's like an open opportunity, which life is, being like, here's what we would like you to do. Please do it. And if you do it well and you do it great, then good things usually come. So it just kind of teaches them that responsibility, which is really the main point. But I guess that's the main thing. I don't know what else I was going to say.
Hard. It is hard though, because like I wanted to just give in and say yes, because I know that it will motivate them to do what I want them to do. And then we will have clean rooms in our house and a hallelujah, But
they didn't.
But like I had to hold my tongue because I'm trying to like rewire a brain that I wired incorrectly. So now we're trying to like rewire their brains. And what's interesting though, our oldest seemed to get it a little bit.
He does get it. Yeah, I think he gets it.
Yeah, he caught on pretty quickly, and he was doing things, quickly. Like we'd be like, okay, it's time now. Like we got to get our teeth brushed and get ready for bed and stuff like that. And like he didn't say anything. He didn't ask.
Yeah.
Like, are we gonna watch TV afterwards? Like he didn't say anything. He turned and went to the bathroom and started getting ready for bed. And I'm like, he gets it. Like there something clicked in his mind, and he was a little disappointed when we didn't get to watch TV, but it was so late. Because it took them so long. And that is what's sad. But there's another side to this. When they learn this thing, especially like the older ones, when they get this, they're going to be able to encourage each other.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
And there's going to be an environment where people are like, hey guys, let's get this done. Let's work together so that we get this reward at the end. Because we're all going to get the reward.
Well, that's actually what I was going to say. So it sounds all good and happy, right? when you have more than one kid.
Yes.
This is really going to be the hardest part. And because we're just implementing this like very recently, we haven't come upon this yet. But I know, and I know the child in my head too. There is going to be at times as we're learning this that certain children will not be rewarded. And that is going to be really hard for you and
others are.
Yeah. It's going to be hardest for us. It will be hard for that child, but it will be mostly hard for us because we will desperately want to give it to that child. But like they're going to have to learn. That's how they're going to have to learn.
Yeah.
And
it's going to be work for us because we're going to have to be dealing with that child who's not getting rewarded and having
angry child.
Yeah, who's going to be angry. And that would be anybody who sees someone else getting something that they're not getting.
Right.
But that's the whole thing. That when you're an adult or a child and you get mad because someone's getting something that you think you were owed,
entitled
to, you're not taking responsibility. That there's a book that I've referenced before by Jocko Willink called Extreme Ownership. And the whole thing is, if something's not happening in your life, it's your fault.
Yeah. That's hard to hear in this culture.
It's very hard to hear, but it's so true. It's so true. If you see somebody getting something that you feel like you are owed, entitled to, whatever you want to put there, that you feel like maybe you're a better worker than that person, you're smarter than that person, better educated, whatever it is, there is a reason, and you won't find out that reason until you take ownership of figuring out how to get that.
Right. And even
why didn't I get it? Going to my boss and saying, like, a really good example of this is Herman Cain. If anybody knows Herman Cain and his story, he's a kind of black entrepreneur. He I think he ran for president in the 2016 election. Died recently, and his death was highly politicized, which is disgusting. But his story is so cool because, back when he was
this
sort
guy.
of
Sorry, I didn't know.
Yeah, Herman Cain.
Yeah.
Back when he was sort of coming up in the business world, he was black, and there was still discrimination happening within workplaces, and perceived discrimination happening within workplaces. But what he did, so I believe this was when he was coming up in management with Burger King. I believe. He kind of has been in a lot of different businesses, super successful guy. And this one white coworker who was on the same position as him got this promotion that he felt like he should get.
Yeah.
And what was so cool about this story is he went into his boss and he said,
not in anger either.
Not in anger. He just said, why did such and such get this promotion and not me?
Yeah.
And the boss didn't say, well, because he's white.
Right.
Like there was none of this, and that's going through his mind, obviously.
Yeah.
And the guy said, oh, well, that's simple. He had a master's degree. So instead of being like, it's not fair that because of my color, I didn't get this position, and I should be entitled to this position for some reason, he took personal ownership and he said, oh, okay, I'm going to go get a master's degree.
Yeah, that's what he did. It's so cool.
And then he went and he got a master's degree, and then he came to his boss and said, here's a master's degree.
Yeah.
And he got the promotion.
Yeah.
He got promoted. And like that story is so beautiful.
There's more to that story too. I'm not going to tell it just because I can't remember it all.
No, but if you go and you look up Herman Cain, you can read. I'm sure you can read a lot of negative things on him too. But it's still a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Like his whole come up in the business world is awesome.
It's really cool.
But that's the difference when you take personal ownership of your life as opposed to always blaming others and always wondering why you're not getting something that you feel you're owed. Yeah. So that's the type of mentality that this reward system rather than bribe system is trying to instill in our kids.
Right.
Is this mentality of personal ownership.
Right. And then teaching them, I think, so the hardest part is going to be us being patient to follow through with it.
Yes.
And then also to be patient to follow through with the not getting of the rewards when other kids do. But then also lots of patience to teach that child or children like
why they're not being rewarded.
And not in anger either. Like trying to do it like, because I know I'll be probably upset too, but trying to be like, once again, putting the responsibility back on them, not on you, back on them, and being like, you chose not to. Like you made a choice and you got to do what you didn't want to do. Like you got to do that. Like, let's just use the cleaning the room thing. You got to not clean it.
Right.
And now your room is clean. Someone else cleaned it for you.
Right.
You didn't have to do it. So you got your way, but
I can't reward you.
But I can't reward you.
Right.
Someone else cleaned your room. Right. Like that's going to be really hard. But if we can stay calm and teach that child that's probably screaming and crying on the floor, then
God help us. God help us.
Then that will help them in their life in the long term. In the long term, it will help them.
Yes. So. And that's really the key of parenting that we're figuring it out slowly, but we're figuring it out that it's a long game.
Yeah.
This parenting thing is not a short game.
No.
And it's very frustrating because our kids are very smart.
Yeah.
Even at young ages. And you might say like, well, that's great. Yeah. But
they're all strong-willed too.
It puts
all
in your
them.
Yes. And it puts in your mind like the fact that they should be here when like in reality, they're here and that's okay.
Yeah.
And like
they're smart, but not wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they definitely are knowledgeable about many things, but they don't have wisdom yet.
Yeah.
And that's what we're supposed to instill. Why is this a smart decision?
Yeah.
Why is this a smart answer? Why is this a smart whatever?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're supposed to be kind of shaping that and doing a lot of explaining, a lot of patient explaining, like you said. And that's another thing that, you know, we can talk about that we're working on right now is our patience.
Mm-hmm.
And in patience also working on not bursting out in anger.
Yes.
And that's hard to do. And any parent that's honest, you know, or has
your kids
a normal personality where you're not like a bump on a log.
Right.
Will understand that it's very difficult, especially with multiple children when they're fighting.
When they can talk back at you.
Yeah. Or
if your child's still a baby, like you probably don't understand yet.
Right.
But you will.
But it's very difficult to not burst out in anger sometimes.
Yeah.
And not in a violent way, but to burst out and yell.
Yeah.
Because you feel like your point is not getting across, especially when they're able to give you that. Oh, I'm picturing it right now in my mind. Like, you know exactly that look of just like, what?
Like
I'm fine.
The pretend stupid look.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And you're like,
the feigned ignorance. Like,
yeah.
What? Me? I didn't do anything.
I did not know that was a bad thing ever.
You have a bat in your hand and your brother is on the floor crying. What?
I didn't know that was a bad thing to do. Yeah.
It's hard not to like burst into a room and be like, what is going on here? What are you doing?
Yeah.
But we're trying to work on that too. Yeah. And that's part of this whole strategy is to be patient, be very communicative with our kids in terms of explaining each minute detail of why we're doing certain things, if it's reward or punishment.
Yeah.
Why? Why are we doing these things? It's interesting too, because like our kids, I don't know if this is like a personality thing with them, but they don't ask why a lot. No?
They
do.
They do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cause like,
but they don't listen to the why. That's what they do. They're like, why? And as I start to explain, they're like, why? And then I explain it, why? But why? And then I'll like, then they ask the same, like, why again? And then I just start the cycle again. And then it's just why. And then I'm just like, I already told you why. Like, believe me. Yeah. I don't think they fully understand the why, but I guess that's the part that's hard to stay calm.
That's the thing. They don't ask me why a lot because what I see with them is like you're saying, I feel like they already think they know the answers to a lot of things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it depends on what it is. They'll definitely ask questions.
Yeah.
But like, you know how you like the old joke of like some kids just being like, why?
Yeah.
You know, because we have to. Why? You know, like they don't do that all the time. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've definitely have heard that. But I think it's because they think they know already. And that's very difficult when you have 3 children that think they know the answers to life.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things where we have to be patient and just continue to explain it, even though I don't understand why we have to explain it this much. But I guess we just have to and
explain it over and over.
Right, that's what I mean.
Over again, the same things.
Because I guess they just need it.
And one of the things that you talked to me about the other day, and then I think it was like really, really important, was like with one of our children, you do explain the same things over and over again, and it's hard to not be condescending.
Yeah.
In those explanations, to like say to them, you keep making the same mistake over and over again.
Yeah.
And we keep having to explain this to you over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it doesn't do anything positive to tell the kid that.
Yeah.
It only is negative because now they're thinking like, well, that's who I am.
Exactly. Yep.
So it's very difficult, but we're trying to get better at not putting the
label on.
Not putting the label, not putting that burden on them of their past.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that and man, that could be so beneficial to the world if we didn't put their past on their future.
Yeah, adding the past to the current thing that you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I see that you're growing in this area. You need to grow in this area because you've made mistakes in this area this time. And we've told you about this multiple times. And like, you know, any person listening to this can just think of like how frustrating that is to have that done to you.
Yeah.
And like, again, in parenting, you have to take a step back and be like, is this advantageous or not for the child?
Right.
Are they gaining something from me speaking in this way? No, they're not. And so we got to be more patient.
Right.
And that's a lot of it. We're frustrated and then we're just impatient. So we're just like, okay, you know what? I talk to you about this all the time.
Yeah.
And that's like,
as
that's
if
my
that's
phrase.
Going to change them.
Right.
So instead, what we're trying to do now, being patient, but then instead of just like labeling them and reminding them of all the other times that they failed, instead of doing that, being like, okay, you still have to address the issue, but addressing the issue and then telling them who you know that they are to be. So like, you know, being like, whatever.
Giving them something to aspire to.
Yeah, because you see the potential in your child. That's why you get so upset. I mean, that's why I get so upset because I know that this child can be and is so amazing, and they can be so amazing, and that's why I'm frustrated. But I need to tell them that. I need to tell them this is what you were made to be.
Yes.
You were made to be this awesome, protective, creative, smart, loving, caring person, and right now you're doing this. But you're supposed to be doing this because that's the great person that you can be. So instead of reminding them of bad things, you just be like, this is what you did, but this is what you could be doing. Because this is who you were made to be. Yeah. And so kind of showing them like,
goodness, I would love this if people did that to me.
Right. Like instead, that way you're giving them hope. Like you're not just, like you can let them know you're disappointed that they chose that, but you're not disappointed necessarily like
in who they're becoming,
in who they like are. Yeah. Like you're disappointed in that choice because that
who you are is who you are becoming.
Right.
Because we're all like, and that's something that I try to do more and more is like especially more of like my one-on-one conversations with them. Like if I'm explaining something to them, especially after something bad happened or whatever, trying to put like my own growth examples into my teaching.
Yeah.
So I can just be like, hey, daddy's growing in this area.
Yeah.
You know, and it took him years to develop to where I was able to control my temper and not lash out at people.
Yeah.
And like, it's going to take time, but like you can do that too.
Yeah.
You know, so like making sure that they understand like I'm growing.
Yes.
Because, and that then they don't get stuck in that state of thinking that they're there yet. Because there is no there yet. Yeah. You are going to grow until you die.
Right. You can always grow in one direction, whether it's bad or good. So
yeah.
Let's go to the good side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool thing about having a man and a woman in the relationship, because I do that with Addie. I feel like it's easier to do for Addie. I do it with the boys as well, but with our little girl, I feel like I'm able to make more comparisons with her and be like, but so that is cool. And I feel like she actually does listen better when I do that, because she's like, oh. Like mommy isn't perfect, which I don't know how she could think I am, but she'll be like, oh, you know, and just, yeah, to kind of give her encouragement.
But we have money and control of sweets.
Yeah.
We're like gods.
I know. But, that's another thing to just mention. I think it's worthwhile is like, and I actually remember this as a kid, but when you are a kid, you think what your parents say like is absolute truth. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you weren't like that, but like, and it's not like my parents made
I struggled with trust as a kid, so.
It's not like my parents made themselves be like that. That's just like how kids are. Like, they're so impressionable. So like when your parents say, that's why, being more positive with our children, I think will be really helpful, is because when your parents say anything negative about you, you just like take that in. And you believe that because they're so important to you, and like the parent won't know that. Like my parents, they probably didn't know. I mean, I feel like they weren't very negative with me at all, but like you just hear that. And like when you hear your parents talking about you to other people, you hear everything they say and you're internalizing that. And that's another thing that I've been trying to work on, is to stop saying anything that like would be like embarrassing to them in front of other people. Cause I found myself just kind of like venting into like people that are, close to me, but with them there. And I was like, that's not good. Like, because they are not stupid and they're listening and they hear everything I say. And I don't want them to hear me say anything that like would make them feel sad about themselves or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because I do think that they're great, awesome kids. So yeah. I just think that's important. They hear everything we say and they believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. So choose your words and make them count. Yeah. I guess. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm trying to just think. I think those are the main. So yeah, the reward system, being more positive as we teach.
Patience.
Being patient. Yeah, I think those are the main. I feel like if you can actually be consistent in those things, you're doing pretty good. Like
you're doing real good.
You're doing really good.
You're doing real good.
Yeah.
And these are our goals.
Yeah.
And
because we have to practice them.
Yeah. Yes. Like we're trying to not fall into our old ways, of outbursts, of impatience, of bribing our kids to get what we need. Because sometimes we're busy.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just easier to be like, here's some candy.
Yeah.
Clean that up.
Right.
Because I don't have time to do it because I'm over here doing this thing, or whatever it is. So it's difficult. It's difficult not to fall back on your kind of tried and true old faithful tactics of parenting. But we've reflected, we've seen the light, we know that there's a different direction, that's a better direction that will set our kids up. And this is the whole purpose of parenting, to set your kids up for victory and success later in life.
Yeah.
What happens here is just training ground.
Yeah.
It's just your time to educate and your time to mold. And it's great if they're successful here, like if they do well in school or they do well in sports or they do well in whatever activity that they're a part of. Like that's great, but that's still just part of the training process. Yeah. Some parents, like, they want their kids to be successful at home.
Yeah.
I honestly don't care about that as much. I want them to go out into the world, and that's when I want to see the fruit of my labor.
Right.
Like, I want to cultivate them now to a point where, like, the fruit is just there, and they're like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing what your kid is able to accomplish out in the world now. And I'm like, I know. That's what I want.
Right.
That's what I want. And that keeps you grounded. That keeps you humble. That keeps you coming back and having conversations and saying, what are we doing? Are we doing it right? Are we doing it wrong? What's going on? But yeah, so that's our new parenting change or epic parenting change that we'll tell you about in a few months if it works.
Right.
Anything else? Anything else that we're working on? Or
well, I know that I want to be I'm not quite sure how to do this yet, but like because of all the things that we want to change, I've been like reflecting, and I'm like, I need to be more scheduled. Cause like I already feel like overwhelmed with just like all the stuff that and I think probably every mom feels like this.
Yeah.
But like, and yeah, I just feel like I have so much stuff that I'm doing. It's really hard to like be present here in the house with my kids sometimes. Like certain times it's easier than others, but I'm like, I really want to schedule my day a little better so that I know and they know that there's like, I don't know, like even just like maybe 3 hours is too much. I don't know. But like, I need like a chunk of time to like get stuff done, and not just house stuff, because house stuff, I feel like I'm able to still be mom. I'm still able to be present because they can help me with that stuff, or I can stop that stuff. You know, I don't have to fold laundry in a timed manner.
Keeping the house in order, feeding children.
Yeah, that's
the
all
essential
part
stuff
of,
gets done.
Yeah, like that's all a part of mom stuff, and I'm able to be present for that. But like other stuff, if you work at all or if you coordinate anything, is really hard to be present because you're thinking of those things. Right. So it's almost like there's like a slot needed where you can depend on to know like, okay, I am today going to get this stuff done during this time. So I don't have to think about it right now. I can be present because during this time. But I think the hardest thing is like having your kids understand that. And then I go back and forth because I'm like, maybe they're too young. Like maybe I am doing too much, you know, like maybe I truly am doing too much and I'm putting too much expectancy on them to like be able to, you know, understand that, you know? Right. So I don't know. I guess I'm struggling right now. I'm like, I feel like I do so much. I don't know. So yeah, that's something I'm trying to working through in my head.
There it is.
To know.
There it is.
I'm talking it out loud now.
No, this is good. But that, like, I'm joking, but kind of serious. Like, that's a lot of the problem. Like, you psych yourself out and just like the kids, like, won't clean their room until they have an answer to, you know, what are we doing once this room is clean? Like, what's the prize for me doing this thing? You know, you're in your head and like, what do I need to, and this is what I always get on you about, is like a lot of times you feel like you need to add something to your life, like working on something. Like that is addition. Like when you're like, I have this issue or I struggle with this kind of mental, like I gravitate mentally to like this state when this is said or this happens. Right. Like, and then you're like, I know I do that and I need to work on it. Yeah. You just added another thing that you're now going to have to do on top of all the other things that you have to do. And I'm always like, you're crazy. Like, don't add another thing. Right. Try and figure out the triggers. Try and figure out, you know, the core of those things, the heart of those things, and figure out ways to deal with it there. Right. So that it doesn't affect you in that way. But don't make it another task.
I think that's what I mean, though, when I say I have to, like, work on that. Yeah. I think that is what I mean, though. I mean, not all the time. Sometimes I'm actually, like, saying, like, I need to get better at something. It's like, it is like an addition, like, but yeah, when it's like mental stuff, usually it's just like, I'm trying to figure out, like, how can I work through this? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times too, and this is another side, you know, you're in a marriage, and I always say this to you. You're in a marriage, which means that you have two people to work on one problem. But a lot of times, like, you'll talk out some problems that, or some things that you're thinking or struggling with or dealing with. And then you'll say, I know I need to work on this. And then I'm sitting there like, well, good talk. But like, there are things, and not just the mental stuff. I'm bringing that up, but like, even just like, I don't feel like I have enough time to get like emails done, or I don't feel like I'm able to kind of keep certain parts of the house in order to the level that I want to.
Right.
A lot of times you're like, I have to schedule better. I have to figure out a better way to accomplish all of these things to a different level, when originally I can't figure out the time to get it done now.
Yeah.
So it's like you're literally making an impossible task.
Right.
And then you're going to get more frustrated because you're like, I'm really trying harder to accomplish this thing that I was struggling time-wise to accomplish in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's this other person called your spouse.
Which also does a bajillion things.
I do a lot of stuff, but it's all sectioned. You know what I mean? Like, there's the stuff I do for my full-time job. There's stuff I do for my part-time jobs. There's the stuff that I do for home.
Yeah.
You know, so all of that's partitioned. So I can look at what I'm doing at home and say, I can clean the kitchen for you.
Right.
You know, I can watch the kids for a couple hours so you can get email done.
Right.
You know, what do you need? 1-2 days a week for me to kind of focus on the kids, to make sure that like you have time to do those things. We can work those things out.
Right.
And that's the beauty, and not everybody has this, of having a partner.
Right.
Is that you have this second person to not put things on, but to
work through things
and to walk alongside you in dealing with those things that mean a lot to you. Like it will alleviate things from your brain. It will alleviate things from your schedule.
Right.
You know, and you'll be more accomplished in your life, and you'll feel better.
Yeah.
And you'll be more positive about things that are going on. Unless that's like your mental state, and then you're gonna like find another thing. That's a whole different thing. But I do think you would feel more at peace. You would feel calmer if you were able to really kind of get some of those things under control and be like, I have plenty of time to get my emails done and coordinate stuff for free or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Life is better together.
It is. It is so much better.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up here because this is a long episode. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Just Breathing Home Edition. We will be back on Friday with Just Breathing with Laud and Lungs. And before you go, YouTube watchers, hello. Make sure that you subscribe, like this, hit the notification bell so you know when we're back with another episode. Audio listeners, thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe, follow, do whatever you can to give us a 5-star rating and review. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Love you all. Goodbye.